Hello everyone, it's me, Aaron, Professor Thorgy, your guide to all things geeky, and welcome to another comic class, Minisode, the show on this channel where we just give you a quick spotlight of a book that you can find in your local comic book store right now. And we have talked a whole lot about Rebirth over the past year on this channel, and I have been asking you guys what your favorite books from Rebirth were, and what are the ones you've been looking forward to the most, and ever since it was announced nearly 10 months ago at this point, yeah, I had to do a double take and think about that one. I can't believe it's been nearly 10 months since we first heard about this book. But since it was announced 10 months ago, I've had many people telling me that Supersons is the book that they've been looking forward to the most. And ever since it was finally announced that would finally be coming out, I've had people contacting me on Twitter and Tumblr, which you can do at Professor Thorgy. They've been contacting me non-stop on Twitter and Tumblr going, the book's finally announced, it's finally coming out this time, did you hear who the writer's going to be? Did you hear that this is going to happen? Here's the date that's coming out, make sure that you circle your calendar, are you going to talk about? People have been asking me non-stop, and today is the day that it finally came out, so I'm finally going to talk about it. It's good! Thanks everyone! I'm just kidding, we will be going into more details about it, and the first detail is that this isn't just good. This is actually one of my favorite first issues from all of Rebirth. Although, as I mentioned, Rebirth has now been around for 8 months. Are we still referring to all the new series that are coming out as part of Rebirth? Like, when does it get to that point where it stops being Rebirth and just starts being regular DC Comics again? I don't know, that's a question for another day. But this is a continuation of the crossover that happened over in the Superman series, in which Damian Wayne came to Jonathan Kent, the new Superboy, and their parents, Batman and Superman, decided that they need to team up, basically to kind of learn how to work with each other, try and learn lessons from each other. And honestly, I thought that was a great storyline, and it set up the new Supersons series perfectly. And I will be honest, if you didn't read that crossover, I don't know how you're going to feel about this issue, because it doesn't stop to ever at any point go, oh, and here's how these two knew each other. But just speaking as somebody who did read that crossover, it continues it perfectly. So I'm just going to judge this issue as somebody who does already know the backstory here. But even if you didn't read their first encounter, I still think that this does a great job of setting up both of these characters, because you get to see both of their individual lives. You get to see Jonathan going off to school, and you get to see him dealing with bullies, and you get to see him going, well, my parents told me it's wrong to use my powers against other people, but I'm still gonna just stand up here as another kid and try and show these bullies I'm not afraid of them. I was like, you know what, that is an awesome lesson. And let's be honest, Supersons, speaking as an adult, I love this issue, but this is a book that is aimed at kids. This is a book that will be amazing for little kids to read, and it's great to have a protagonist in there who is delivering that message. But then at the same time, you also see how Damian deals with bullies, and it's like, yeah, it lets you know instantly how these characters are different from each other. But then from there, you also get to see Damian at home with Batman going, listen, you didn't do your homework, so you're grounded. You're not going out to fight crime with me, which so often I think of Batman as being the parent who just doesn't care, because that's kind of how he gets portrayed in all the other series. We constantly see Damian going, my dad doesn't ever do this with me, my dad never does this with me, I basically live my own completely separate life, my dad and I never even interact. So it was great to see Dad Bruce Wayne basically coming in and going, you're not fighting crime, you're grounded because you didn't do your homework. I don't know why, it just felt really good to see Batman being a dad. But then you get to see Jonathan with his parents, Lois and Clark, and it's completely the opposite. Mostly because Jonathan actually is doing his homework. Jonathan actually is being a good kid, which I love the fact that everybody talks about Damian like he is just this completely perfect character, like, oh, he's this smart, and he's this skilled, and he's this good of a fighter, and he does all these things. But then we see that when it comes to actually being a kid, Jonathan is by far the superior character. When it comes to actually being a child who does the right things, Jonathan is that character. But like I said, you get to see John's home life, and they did a wonderful job of using that to establish how different he was from Damian's, because it's completely different from Damian's home life. Because you get to see him sitting down for game night with his parents, and his parents give him a very healthy, uplifting lecture about standing up to bullies. And they just capture this feeling of it being like a Norman Rockwell painting, which, if you think about what Superman's family should be, that is kind of what Superman's family should be. Like, every step of the way, Peter J. Tomasi has just been capturing what Superman should be. It's amazing to me that they made this feel like kind of a stereotypical, uplifting, regular family life, while at the same time, it is nothing like a regular family life because your dad is Superman and you're from an alternate reality, but still they were able to give it that feeling. Like, there's a moment in which Superman has to go off to join the Justice League, and it feels like your dad's just leaving for work. That's all it feels like. Like, he might as well just have grabbed a lunch pail on his way out and just said, "Bye, honey, I'll see you at 7." But from there, we finally get to see Damian and John team up. And I won't go into too many details about what happens after they team up, because there's really just like one big reveal that happens after that, and it's an amazing reveal. I kind of do want to talk about it. It has me really excited for the next issue. But you get to see the two of them actually interacting, and I love that Damian, he's got that superiority complex that he always has, but I absolutely love that Jonathan Kent is like the one guy who can get under his skin. Like, it's amazing to me that Damian has specialized in getting under people's skin and driving other people nuts and just being that much better than everyone else. And all Jonathan Kent has to say is, "I'm taller than you." And then Damian just, like, I love that. The fact that John, without even really trying, just being his pure uplifting, sweet cinnamon roll of a self, is able to just get under Damian's skin that much. And as I said, they don't team up for long towards the end of this issue, but what happens on the last page, basically it's the equivalent of them having to sneak into the neighbor's yard to get their ball back, and then the mean old neighbor man comes out and starts yelling at them. It had me so excited for what was going to happen. It's such a good final page. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. But yeah, I was looking forward to this, especially after they announced that Peter J. Tomasi was going to be the writer on the series, and it still blew me away. This was better than I possibly could have expected, and one last compliment I have to give it is that there are many other books from Rebirth that I have wanted to come in here and just do a single issue spotlight on, like, say, the new Justice League of America series that came out just a few weeks ago. But I read that, and I was like, not a lot really happened in this one issue. I don't know how I could possibly fill up a whole episode talking about this. I had to leave stuff out of this episode because there actually is a ton that happens in this one issue. For $2.99, this is easily worth your money, so this gets a high recommendation from me. But if you read this issue, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of it, and remember, you can always contact me on Twitter and Tumblr at Professor Thorgy. We do comic book shows every single week, and then on the weekends we talk about movies and video games. We basically cover everything from the world of geekery on this channel, so if you want to see more, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, everyone. Come back next time. Bye.